This is a bad, bad situation. I think this is something that's going to taint whatever legacy he hoped.
Frankly, it wouldn't have made any difference what the negotiation was. Guess who has to be comfortable for this to work?
Micah.
And who else?
You.
Hello. There's not room for a third. There's not room for a third.
Stephen A. Smith just dropped a bomb on Cowboys star Micah Parsons' pockets, calling his finances a full-blown disaster. According to Stephen, Micah's cash situation is so bad he might be staring straight at bankruptcy, and the jaw-dropper is what Stephen says Parsons actually wasted his millions on. This isn't some overnight meltdown. The warning signs have been there for years. Parsons has built a name not just as an all-pro linebacker, but as a magnet for controversy, constantly clashing with people on and off the field. His money mess today traces back way before 2025. The drama started back in 2024, when the Cowboys picked up his fifth-year option, guaranteeing him $21.324 million. Sounds solid, right? Not for Parsons. He and his agent claimed he should have been valued at $24 million, arguing that his role was closer to a pass-rushing defensive end than just a linebacker. That $2.676 million gap turned into a full-blown grievance filing by early 2025, proving this was never just business. It was war over every dollar. But here's where Parsons played himself. Back in December 2023, he went on record saying he'd be willing to take a hometown discount to keep the Cowboys competitive. That one line reportedly had his own agent fuming. Why? Because he basically gave Jerry Jones a free pass to lowball him. Instead of driving up the market, Parsons handed away leverage on a silver platter. That's like telling the man with the checkbook, "Don't worry, you don't gotta pay me full price." Unreal. Things really exploded in March 2025 when Jerry Jones claimed he and Parsons had sealed a handshake deal on a monster extension. 5 years, $40.5 million per season, which would have made Parsons the highest-paid non-quarterback in NFL history. Jones swore this was locked in, but Parsons flipped the script, insisting the talks were just casual and that all real business needed to go through his agent, Mulugheta. That little miscommunication didn't just stall negotiations, it blew them up entirely.
Tried to buy anything. I've never tried to do anything. That I actually was going to bring all of the services and somebody else was going to do all the money. But because the in-between guy wasn't exactly the guy that I had fit there, that kept you from doing the deal. That's exactly what's happening here. So many times in this industry, you have a different agenda going on with agents. A different agenda. They're playing a game. You tell me.
Suddenly, the supposed done deal turned into a messy back-and-forth finger-pointing match. And at the heart of it lies the ugly truth. A total disconnect between old-school NFL owners like Jerry Jones, who still trust verbal promises, and modern players who play the game strictly by the contract. Parsons' empire wasn't just crumbling because of money mismanagement. It was the perfect storm of bad advice, risky comments, and power clashes with the most stubborn owner in football. Jerry Jones, old school to the core, really thought he had Micah Parsons locked in with nothing more than a private handshake. That's how deals used to get done back in the day. A wink, a nod, and a promise. But Parsons wasn't buying it. In today's NFL, no player makes a move without their agent, and Parsons treated that little sit-down with Jones like casual chatter, nothing more. The real chaos exploded when his agent, David Mulugheta, got a look at the numbers. According to Jones himself, Mulugheta flat out told the Cowboys front office to stick it up our ass. That wasn't just a rejection. That was a nuclear response. Suddenly, this wasn't about money anymore. It turned into a brutal clash of eras. Jerry's old man handshake deals versus the new school, everything goes through the agent mentality. Then came training camp in Oxnard, California, and that's when the fireworks really went off. Parsons pulled what's now being called the hold-in. He showed up to mandatory activities, but refused to actually practice, claiming he had back tightness. But here's the twist. An MRI revealed nothing was wrong. The Cowboys immediately cleared him, basically hinting to the public that this was all about contracts, not health. Former NFL executive Joe Banner didn't hold back either. he blasted Parsons, saying if he turned down a record-breaking offer, then he had no excuse to be sitting out. Still, the strategy was genius in its own way. By claiming an injury, Parsons dodged the massive fines that come with skipping camp outright, while still keeping the pressure squarely on the team. And when he went for a second opinion, it only added another layer of mystery. The Cowboys couldn't prove he was faking, and that's what made it such a savage power play. But Parsons' money battles don't stop at his Cowboys deal. Oh no, his reputation for beef runs deeper. In April 2025, he picked a very public fight with none other than NFL legend Deion Sanders and his son, Colorado quarterback Sheeter Sanders, after a podcast exchange turned nasty. Micah didn't just clap back. He lit up the internet with another headline-grabbing feud, showing once again he refuses to back down when respect and money are on the line. Micah Parsons didn't hold back when he critiqued Sheeter Sanders, mocking his habit of patting the ball before throwing and warning, "That ain't gonna fly in the NFL." He even questioned Sheeter's flashy image. That was all Deion Sanders needed to jump in, defending his son's draft stock and legacy like a proud father ready for war. Before long, the feud spilled into a heated social media showdown, right in the middle of Parsons' contract drama with Dallas. Some fans applauded Parsons for keeping it real, but plenty accused him of taking cheap shots at a college player who hadn't even stepped into the league yet. Instead of keeping the spotlight on his own bag, Parsons was now trending for beefing with NFL royalty over a college kid's throwing mechanics. To front offices, it made him look reckless and distracted. The exact type of off-field drama that makes owners hesitate before cutting nine-figure checks. Then came the breaking point. On August 1st, 2025, Parsons went nuclear, publicly demanding a trade on X. He blasted the Cowboys for shady negotiation tactics and called out Jerry Jones's direct style, stressing that he just wanted his agent fully involved. His words were clear. "I never asked for anything more than fairness. I only asked that the person I trust to negotiate my contract be part of the process." Parsons didn't stop there. He wiped all Cowboys references from his social media, sending fans into a frenzy. To make it even spicier, he posted a cryptic TikTok featuring Allen Iverson declaring, "I'm gonna win wherever I go." It was a not-so-subtle message. Micah was ready to walk, and he didn't care who was watching. At this point, the standoff wasn't just about contracts. It had turned into an all-out PR war between one of the NFL's most explosive young stars and one of its most stubborn, powerful owners. And the wild part? This wasn't the first time Parsons had taken his fights public. Back in 2023, on his Bleacher Report podcast, The Edge with Micah Parsons, he lashed out at national media for what he called unfair shots at Dak Prescott and other teammates. Parsons snapped, "I'm the face. I'm giving them their content. They're basically stealing my content and they're wrong." That fiery streak never faded. It only got louder, bigger, and messier as the stakes rose. Micah Parsons didn't just beef with outsiders, he even clashed with his own teammates. One of the biggest red flags came when he publicly disagreed with veteran DeMarcus Lawrence. That move raised serious eyebrows about his leadership. Yahoo Sports even pointed out that this moment made people question if Parsons could ever be trusted as the long-term face of the franchise, especially with contract talks looming. Instead of keeping things private, Parsons chose to air dirty laundry in public, showing the world he wasn't afraid to call out a locker room legend. In the NFL, chemistry is everything. One bad vibe can ruin a season, and here was Parsons openly challenging a respected veteran. For many, that was a sign of a toxic leader in the making, exactly what front offices dread when they're about to hand over hundreds of millions of dollars. And this wasn't a one-off. Confrontation became a trademark of Parsons' career, and the drama followed him on and off the field. When fans came after him for spending time on his podcast instead of focusing on his contract, Parsons clapped back hard. He justified his media hustle by pointing at Shannon Sharpe's $100 million media empire, saying he had every right to build his brand while balling. But the Cowboys weren't amused. With Parsons claiming back tightness while being medically cleared, the team hinted they had legal grounds to hit him with fines or even suspend him for conduct detrimental to the franchise. That was a dangerous game, and one that could have dragged both sides into a nasty legal war. And let's not forget, Parsons' baggage didn't just start in the NFL. Back at Penn State, he faced scrutiny over a lawsuit that tied him to a campus fight. Even though it wasn't directly about money, it planted early doubts about his character and marketability. Those whispers followed him into the league, lurking in the background every time negotiations got tough. All of these clashes, the money feuds, the teammate drama, the podcast controversy, and the old character concerns, finally came to a breaking point. On August 28, 2025, the Cowboys pulled the trigger, shipping Parsons off to the Green Bay Packers in exchange for 2 first-round picks and star defensive tackle Kenny Clark. The trade was instantly compared to the Packers' historic signing of Reggie White in 1993, a move that changed their entire franchise. For Dallas, it was the bitter end of what could have been a legendary run. Through all the scandals, one thing remains undeniable. When Micah Parsons steps onto the field, he's a straight-up monster. But Stephen A. Smith's fiery breakdown of his financial meltdown shows just how messy things got behind the scenes. And when Stephen gets this heated about Cowboys business, you know the drama is real. Stephen A. Smith has been absolutely on fire when it comes to Micah Parsons. But before torching the Cowboys star, he set his sights on Jerry Jones himself. And let's be real, Stephen didn't just throw shade. He threw full haymakers at the legendary owner, blasting him for turning Parsons' contract into one of the ugliest financial feuds in recent memory. On First Take and every platform he could get his hands on, Stephen A. has been relentless. He's calling Jerry's handling of the Parsons situation flat-out egregious, tearing into his stubborn negotiation tactics, and exposing just how mismanaged this entire fiasco has become. And when Stephen A. goes nuclear, you know it's not just noise. There's real fire behind that smoke. Now here's where it gets downright messy. Smith has been dragging Jerry Jones for refusing to give Parsons' agent, David Mulugheta, a real seat at the table. According to Stephen's reporting, Jerry swore he already had a deal in place with Parsons. But when Mulugheta saw the details, he told the Cowboys front office to stick it up our ass. Instead of adjusting, Jerry dug his heels in. Stephen didn't sugarcoat it either. He called it exactly what it was, a power play that backfired. And Stephen didn't stop there. He shredded Jerry's entire mindset, saying the owner believes he's got Parsons trapped for the next 3 years anyway, through the 5th-year option and back-to-back franchise tags. To Smith, that's pure disrespect. You don't treat a once-in-a-generation pass rusher, a guy with 52.5 sacks in just 4 seasons, like a pawn you can just drag along. Stephen's commentary has been devastating, not just because of the facts, but because of how he's framed the whole thing. He broke it down like psychological warfare, accusing Jerry of straight-up bullying tactics and flagrant disrespect. Skipping over Parsons' agent wasn't just bad business. According to Stephen, it was an intentional move to take advantage of a 26-year-old star who's still learning the business side of the league. The way Stephen A. tells it, Jerry Jones is playing the role of an old-school bully, flexing his power instead of negotiating in good faith. And the scariest part? Smith's analysis makes it sound like Jerry believes this is business as usual, that intimidation is just another tool in his playbook. Stephen A. Smith's takedown of Jerry Jones and Micah Parsons' financial war has been nothing short of explosive. From handshake deals gone wrong, to agents telling the Cowboys to shove it, to Parsons himself pulling off one of the most dramatic hold-ins in recent memory. This saga had everything. Public beefs, trade demands, cryptic TikToks, and finally, a blockbuster trade that sent one of the NFL's brightest stars out of Dallas. At the end of the day, Stephen A. painted a picture of a generational player trapped in a power struggle with an old-school owner who refuses to give up control. And no matter what side you're on, Team Parsons or Team Jerry, one thing's for sure, the fallout has left the Cowboys franchise looking like a circus, and Stephen A.'s fiery commentary has only turned up the heat. This story proves the NFL isn't just about what happens on the field, The real battles are fought in boardrooms, training camps, and sometimes on social media timelines for the whole world to see. Make sure you like, drop a comment, and subscribe for more wild stories just like this. And I'll see you in the next one.